The lock clicks shut, and Talia Mercer stops breathing. 1 second, 2. The closet is dark and narrow and smells like cedar wood and the ghost of a life she thought she understood. Her back is flat against the wall. Her belly, 7 months round, heavy, alive, presses against the hanging coats in front of her. The baby kicks. One sharp kick, right under her ribs like a warning. She heard the dead Bolt turn. She heard his footsteps walk away. She heard him pick up the phone. She did not hear him say he was sorry. Bryson Mercer has never been sorry for anything in his life. Talia knows that now. She knows it the way you know a thing you should have known years earlier, all at once, too late, standing in the dark with your hands shaking and your child moving inside you. 20 minutes ago she was at his desk looking for the car insurance renewal. That was all, the car insurance. She found the folder by accident, a manila folder tucked behind the printer, fat with documents, labeled in his neat handwriting. Life Policy, T. Mercer, Active. She opened it because her name was on it. She read the first page, then the second. Then she sat down in his chair and read all 11 pages without moving because her legs stopped working somewhere around page 4. $2.4 million. Double payout clause. Pregnancy loss benefit activates at any point after the 20th week of gestation. She is at week 29. She heard him come in. She didn't move fast enough. Now she is here, in the dark, and through the crack at the bottom of the door she can see the thin line of light from the hallway and she can hear his voice, low and completely controlled, talking to someone she cannot identify. The timing is right, he says. I need it done before she talks to anyone. She found the folder. A pause. No, she doesn't have her phone. Another pause, longer. The policy pays clean, 2.4 on death, double on pregnancy loss. I have 4.8 reasons to make sure she doesn't walk out of that room. Talia presses her hand over her mouth. $4.8 million. That is what she is worth to him dead. That is the number he set against her life and decided it was enough. 9 years of marriage and he did the math and came up with a number and circled it and called it a plan. The baby kicks again, harder this time. Talia breathes through her nose, slow, in and out. She is a former marketing director. She has managed crises, managed people, managed budgets with 6 zeros. She knows how to think when everything is on fire. She knows how to hold herself still when stillness is the only weapon she has left. She scans the closet by feel, both hands moving along the walls in the dark. Shelves to her right, sweaters, boxes, the edge of something hard. She reaches for it, a shoe box, heavy. She sets it aside. Her fingers find the shelf bracket, metal screwed into the wall, solid. She notes it. She moves on. The light under the door disappears. He has walked away from the hallway. She doesn't know how long she has. She doesn't know what done before she talks to anyone means in terms of hours. She doesn't know if Dana Prout, whose name she saw 3 times in that folder, whose signature appeared on 2 of the financial documents, is already on her way to this house. What Talia knows is this. Her daughter is alive and kicking inside her right now. And that baby does not get to be born into a story where her mother disappeared without a fight. She wraps both hands around the shelf bracket and pulls. It holds. She pulls again, harder, and feels the screws begin to give. She pulls a 3rd time and the bracket tears free from the drywall with a sound like a cork pulled from a bottle, small, sharp, swallowed by the house. She holds the bracket against her chest and waits. No footsteps. She exhales. Outside, 3 blocks away, a pair of headlights turn onto Delwood Avenue. The driver does not know Talia Mercer's name. He does not know she is in that closet. He came to this street tonight because of a phone call he received 40 minutes ago. A call from a client who told him something that made him pull over on the highway and sit very still for 60 seconds before turning the car around. Bryson Mercer made one phone call tonight that he should never have made. And the man on the other end of that call is now 3 blocks away and closing. The door comes off its hinges on the second kick. August Whitaker is not a small man. He is 6'2", 210 pounds, and he has been practicing law in this city for 14 years, which means he has learned exactly when to talk and exactly when to stop talking and use his foot instead. This is a stop-talking moment. The wood splinters at the frame. The deadbolt tears through the strike plate. The door swings hard and August is already inside the closet doorway, his right hand up, palm out, not grabbing, not reaching, just visible. Safe. Here. Talia Mercer is standing against the back wall with a metal shelf bracket in both hands, and her eyes are wide, and her chin is up, and she has clearly decided she is going to fight whatever comes through that door. August goes very still. "My name is August Whitaker," he says. "I'm an attorney. Bryson called Marcus Webb 40 minutes ago. Marcus is my client. He called me immediately." He keeps his hands visible. "Bryson left this house 11 minutes ago. You are alone." Talia stares at him. She does not lower the bracket. "Marcus Webb," she repeats. "Yes." Something moves across her face. Recognition. She lowers the bracket 2 inches. "Bryson said Marcus was nobody, an old business contact." "Marcus Webb is the man your husband defrauded of $1.107 million years ago," August says. "And tonight Bryson called him asking for an alibi. Marcus called me instead." He takes one careful step back out of the doorway, giving her room. "We need to leave this house right now. Can you walk?" She walks. She does not need his arm. She takes it anyway at the front steps because the porch light is broken and the night is cold, and she is 7 months pregnant and pragmatic enough to accept help when the alternative is falling. In the car, August calls 911 from his cell and reports the house as a potential crime scene. Then he calls Dr. Rachel Osa directly, his personal physician, on call, already at Mercy General. Then he pulls onto the highway and drives with both hands on the wheel and doesn't ask Talia any questions because she is sitting in the passenger seat with her hand on her belly and her eyes straight ahead, and she is doing something with her breathing that looks deliberate and internal and private. He respects it. She speaks first, somewhere on the bridge. There is a folder in his desk, behind the printer, life insurance policy, 2.4 million double payout for pregnancy loss. She pauses. His girlfriend's name is on the financial documents, Dana Pruitt. August drives. "How far along are you?" 29 weeks. "Baby's moving." "She hasn't stopped since I found the folder." He exhales something that is almost a laugh but isn't. "Good, that's good." At Mercy General, Dr. Osai confirms the baby's heartbeat at 152 beats per minute, strong and steady. Talia lies back against the pillow and stares at the ceiling while the monitors beep, and August stands outside the glass door in the hallway, his phone to his ear, his free hand flat against the wall. He stays there for 2 hours. When the nurse dims the hallway lights, Talia turns her head and watches him through the window. He has not sat down once. He is still on the phone or between calls or reading something on his screen. There is something in the set of his shoulders that she cannot name yet, not urgency exactly. Something older, something that has been waiting. He has a personal connection to Bryson Mercer. She can feel it. The way he said Marcus's name, the way his jaw moved when she described the folder. The question is what that connection means for her. Whether August Whitaker is here because he wants justice or because he wants something else. Whether those two things are even different. The baby shifts and Talia puts her hand on her belly and decides she will find out in the morning. Right now, her daughter is safe and warm and alive, and that is the only math that matters. The insurance policy is 11 pages long, and Talia reads all of it before she speaks. August sits in the chair by the window and waits. He has brought the folder, retrieved from the house by a police officer under the evidence warrant he filed at 6 in the morning. He has also brought coffee, a legal pad, and a woman named Diane Cho who sits in the second chair with her legs crossed and her pen already moving. Talia sets the last page down. He added the pregnancy clause at week 20. I was 20 weeks pregnant when he scheduled that rider. She looks up. He planned this before I started showing. Diane Cho writes without looking up. The policy was originally taken out 14 months ago, before the pregnancy. The base amount is $2.4 million. With the double payout clause, the total on pregnancy loss is $4.8. She clicks her pen. He has $380,000 in documented gambling debts, 2 failed business ventures. His primary account has been overdrawn 11 times in the last 6 months. He needed me dead, Talia says, not a question, a calculation stated out loud. He needed the money, August says from the window. You were the mechanism. Talia is quiet for a moment. Through the hospital window, the morning is gray and cold and ordinary. People are walking into the hospital lobby with coffee cups and overnight bags, living their regular Tuesday. She watches them and feels something harden inside her chest. Not grief, not fear, something cleaner and more useful than either. Dana Prout, she says. Diane nods. Co-signed 2 of the accounts. Her name appears on the secondary beneficiary clause of an older policy, one that predates your marriage. She has been in his financial life for at least 8 years. He was with her before me, Talia says. And during, Diane confirms without softening it. Outside the hospital, Bryson Mercer is already performing. His mother, Patricia, stands beside him on the steps of Calvary Baptist Church. Their church, the one where Talia taught Sunday school for 3 years and speaks into a cluster of microphones about her daughter-in-law's mental fragility, her history of emotional episodes, the stress of a difficult pregnancy. Bryson stands next to her with his head slightly bowed, and his hands folded, and his face arranged into something that photographs as grief. The local news runs it on a loop. Diane pulls up the broadcast on her tablet and sets it on the tray table without comment. Talia watches it for 90 seconds, then looks away. He chose the church steps deliberately, Talia says. He knows the optics. He's been planning this part too. August straightens from the window. He has, which means we have to be faster than his narrative. He looks at Talia directly. I need to tell you something about my history with Bryson, all of it, and then I need you to decide if you want my firm involved or if you want distance from me entirely. That choice is yours. Talia looks at him. Tell me. He tells her all of it. Marcus Webb, the forged signatures, the stolen $1.1 million, the 14 months of legal battle that left Marcus so depleted, so financially ruined, so publicly humiliated that his heart gave out on a Wednesday afternoon in his own kitchen. August found him. He was the one who made the call. The room is very quiet when he finishes. You have been building a case against Bryson for 7 years, Talia says. Yes. And you needed current documentation, recent evidence. I needed someone on the inside who had found something he couldn't bury. August holds her gaze. I am not using you, Talia, but I will not pretend our interests don't align. You deserve to know both things are true at the same time. She looks at the insurance policy on the tray. She looks at the monitor still tracking her daughter's heartbeat. She looks at the gray Tuesday morning outside the window. Get Diane started, she says. We have a lot of work to do. Bryson is free. He is resourced. He has a mother, a girlfriend, a lawyer, and a television camera. Talia has a hospital bed, 11 pages, and a man with 7 years of buried rage and a very good law firm. It doesn't feel like enough. It feels like the beginning of enough. And right now, that will do. August arrives the next morning with a contract, a coffee, and the keys to a guest house in Elmwood. He sets all three on the hospital tray table. He sits down. He does not make a speech. Talia reads the contract in full. It is a pro bono legal services agreement, Diane Cho as lead litigator, full firm resources allocated, a private security detail beginning that night, a forensic financial analyst named Gordon Price starting Monday. The guest house is code-locked, alarmed, and staffed during daylight hours. The address is not connected to August's name in any public record. This is a lot, Talia says. Yes, August agrees. Tell me what you get from this. He leans forward. Bryson took Marcus from me. Marcus built his company from nothing over 20 years, and Bryson dismantled it in 8 months using forged documents and a compliance loophole that a retired judge helped him exploit. He stops. That judge's name is Arthur Wexler. He buried 2 prior cases involving Bryson. He has been shielding him from consequences for a decade in exchange for financial arrangements I have not been able to prove until now. He looks at the contract on the tray. You finding that folder changes what I can prove. Your case is the thread that unravels all of it. Talia is quiet, so Bryson has a judge. Had Wexler retired 18 months ago. His protection has limits now. August straightens. What Bryson doesn't know is that Wexler kept records. Old men who do corrupt things in private sometimes document everything out of habit or guilt or both. Roy Sims, my investigator, has been watching Wexler's house for 4 months. Talia picks up the pen. She holds it over the signature line and does not sign immediately. I have pride, she says. I don't want to owe anyone anything. You won't owe me anything. You will owe Diane Cho excellent client communication and full disclosure of every document you can remember seeing in that house. He pauses. The guest house and the security are for your daughter, not for you, if that makes the distinction easier. It does, she signs. She signs for the baby. She tells herself this clearly, not for the comfort of a code-locked house, not for the steadiness in August Whitaker's voice, not for the 7 years of grief he is carrying that mirrors the shape of her own. She signs because her daughter deserves a mother who chose to fight instead of disappear. August picks up the contract. He stands. He is almost at the door when Talia speaks. Marcus, she says, what was he like? August stops. His back is to her. He is quiet for 3 full seconds. He laughed at everything, he says. Even things that weren't funny, it drove me crazy. He pauses. I miss it every day. He leaves. Talia sits with the coffee and the baby moving slow circles inside her, and the quiet understanding that the man who just walked out of her hospital room is not doing this for justice alone. He is doing this because grief, when it has nowhere to go, eventually becomes something that looks like action. She understands that completely. She is doing the same thing. The financial records arrive on a Thursday, and they are devastating. Gordon Price spreads 46 pages across the guest house dining table, wire transfers, offshore routing numbers, shell company registrations, insurance premium payments, and walks Talia through each page the way a doctor walks a patient through a scan. Here is where it started. Here is where the money moved. Here is where it went. 3 accounts, 2 offshore, 1 domestic, hidden under a property LLC registered in Dana Pruitt's maiden name. But the financial records, are not the worst thing Roy Sims brings on Thursday. The worst thing is the file on Celeste Haddon. Celeste was Bryson's first wife. Not his previous girlfriend, his first wife. A marriage that lasted 14 months, ended with a signed non-disclosure agreement, a $200,000 settlement, and a fracture in Celeste's right wrist that the medical report described as consistent with a fall, but that Celeste's private notes, obtained legally through her own attorney, described as something else entirely. Bryson was 29 years old. He had been practicing. Roy sets a second file beside the first. Priya Anand, former business colleague, filed a workplace complaint against Bryson 6 years ago. Complaint was buried by the HR director, who was subsequently given a $40,000 consulting contract by one of Bryson's shell companies. Roy taps the file. She moved to Dallas. She has not spoken publicly, but she kept everything. Talia stands at the head of the table and looks at the spread of documents and does not sit down once. She reads standing. She turns pages standing. She is not performing strength. Standing is simply the only thing her body will allow right now because sitting feels like what you do when you accept something, and she is not accepting anything. He was practicing, she says. The same words she thought in the hospital room now out loud. Each one got quieter than the last, Roy confirms. Celeste signed the NDA and disappeared. Priya took the settlement and moved states. He refined the method every time. He pauses. With you, he was ready to finish it. That same Thursday, Bryson's legal team files a motion arguing that Talia illegally accessed his private computer, and that all evidence derived from that access, including the insurance policy folder, is inadmissible. His PR firm releases a written statement to 3 local news outlets describing Talia as emotionally unstable throughout the pregnancy, citing unnamed sources close to the family. Her name trends on a local Facebook group. None of it is kind. August calls at 9 p.m. Don't read it, he says. I'm not reading it, Talia says. She is reading Celeste Haddon's medical file. Tell Roy I want to speak to Celeste directly, this week. Her NDA has limits, and Bryson just violated his conditional release terms by having Dana Prout drive past this address twice today. Talia sets down the file. Get me in front of Celeste before his attorneys do. If you are still watching right now, you already know Bryson Mercer is not a bad husband who made one terrible decision. He is a pattern. He built a system. Drop the word pattern in the comments right now if you saw this coming, because most people don't catch it until it's too late. Celeste Haddon has been silent for 6 years. Roy Sims reaches her by Friday morning. She listens to everything he says. She is quiet for a long time, and then she says 4 words that change the entire case. He called me yesterday. The cufflink is half an inch long, silver, and engraved with 2 letters. A.W. Roy Sims photographs it inside Bryson's home office during the court-ordered evidence sweep, sitting in a small glass dish on the corner of the desk like a paperweight, like a trophy, like something kept on purpose. He photographs it 3 times from different angles before the defense attorney can object to his presence in the room. He sends the photos to August at 11:14 a.m. on a Wednesday. August looks at his phone for a long time without moving. Then he opens his desk drawer and removes a single cufflink, silver, identical, engraved with the same 2 letters. The match to the one he lost 7 years ago on a night he has never been able to fully explain to anyone because the shame of what happened that night. The threat Bryson made, the way August backed down, the way he walked out of that office and let it go is not something he has ever put into words. He sets his cufflink on the desk next to the photograph on his phone. Diane Cho speaks first. A.W. August Whittaker, not Arthur Wexler. No, August says, not Wexler. Then Bryson kept it knowing it was yours. He kept it because the night I lost it was the night he threatened me and I walked away. August's voice is steady, but something underneath it is not. He kept it to remember that he won. What Bryson did not account for, what his trophy-keeping arrogance completely failed to calculate, is that the cufflink places him in physical contact with August on the specific night that Marcus Webb's business documents were destroyed. A night that Bryson swore under oath in a prior civil deposition that he spent in another city. A night with hotel receipts, a dinner reservation, a credit card transaction, all of it fabricated, all of it filed with the court, all of it now directly contradicted by a silver cufflink sitting in a glass dish on his desk. The cufflink is the perjury, and perjury voids his entire prior legal defense. Diane is already on the phone with the DA's office before August finishes the sentence. But that is not the twist that stops Talia's breath. Roy Sims pulls the second piece of evidence from the file at 2 o'clock that afternoon, a document from Arthur Wexler's personal records, obtained after Wexler's housekeeper contacted Roy directly because she had worked for the man for 22 years and had decided at 71 years old that she was done being afraid. It is a handwritten ledger, dates going back 11 years, payments received, cases buried, names of the women whose complaints were quietly dismissed by Wexler before they could reach a courtroom. Celeste Haddon is on page 3. Talia's name is on page 9, added 4 months ago, with a note beside it in Wexler's handwriting, policy active, outcome expected Q1. Talia reads it twice. Her hands do not shake. Her jaw is tight and her eyes are bright, and she sets the paper down with the precise, controlled care of a woman who is saving her reaction for somewhere it will do more damage. He had a judge waiting, she says. He had a judge waiting, August confirms. And the judge kept records. Old men who do terrible things sometimes write everything down, Roy says quietly. Guilt or habit, never sure which. That afternoon, Bryson Mercer, out on conditional release, forbidden from contacting any witness, leaves 2 voicemails and a text message on Celeste Haddon's phone telling her to remember the terms of her agreement. His attorney claims it was an accident. The judge reviewing the bail terms does not find this compelling. Bryson's bail is revoked at 4:47 p.m. He spends his first night in custody certain that Arthur Wexler will make a call, that a door will open, that it will be fine by morning, the way things have always been fine by morning. Arthur Wexler is not making any calls. Arthur Wexler is sitting in a conference room with 2 federal agents and a stack of documents from his own handwritten ledger, and he is deciding whether 11 years of corruption is worth the weight of whatever years he has left. Bryson Mercer does not know this yet. That is the last time in this story that Bryson Mercer will not know something that Talia does. Talia walks into the courthouse conference room on her own 2 feet, 8 months pregnant, wearing a dark dress and carrying nothing but a bottle of water. Diane Cho has advised against this meeting 4 times. August has said nothing. He knows better by now. Roy Sims is parked across the street in a gray sedan with a digital audio receiver and 2 attorneys on a conference line. The meeting is framed as a settlement discussion, requested through proper channels, documented and logged. Bryson's legal team agreed in 40 minutes. They think she is scared. They think 8 months pregnant and publicly attacked and financially stripped is a woman looking for a way out. They have been wrong about her from the beginning. Bryson comes in with 2 attorneys flanking him, and he looks at her belly first, and then her face, and something moves across his expression that is not guilt and is not love. It is the look of a man recalculating odds. He still believes the odds favor him. He sits down across from her. "You requested this," he says. "I did," Talia says. Her voice is level. She sets her water bottle on the table. "I want to hear you say it, Bryson, all of it, out loud in this room." His lead attorney puts a hand on his arm. Bryson ignores it. He has been the smartest person in every room for so long that the habit of performing his own intelligence is stronger than his caution. "The policy was legal," he says. "Every document was properly filed, every premium was paid." 2.4 million base, Talia says. 4.8 with the pregnancy clause. Walk me through the math. He walks her through the math. She knew he would. She has sat across from enough boardroom men to know that the ones who believe they have already won cannot resist explaining exactly how. He talks about the debt, 380,000, accumulated over 4 years. He talks about the business losses. He talks about the timeline, the policy, the plan. He talks about Dana Pruitt's role in creating the alibi structure. He talks about the closet, how it was supposed to look like overheating, like a tragic accident, like a pregnant woman who panicked and couldn't get out. He says, "You were always temporary, Talia. I needed the timing to be right. I needed the baby far enough along for the double payout." The room is completely silent. Talia looks at him across the table and thinks about the 9 years she spent in that house thinking she knew who he was. She thinks about Sunday mornings and dinner parties and the way he held her hand at her mother's funeral. She thinks about page 7 of the insurance policy and the moment she understood that none of it was ever what it looked like. "You underestimated me," she says. "You said it yourself, I was temporary. You never once considered that I might be the last thing standing between you and the rest of your life." His attorney is already on his feet. Too late. Roy Sims has 22 minutes of clean digital audio. Diane Cho filed the recording authorization with the court at 9 this morning. Both of Bryson's attorneys receive a text simultaneously from their own firm's paralegal, who has just been informed that the audio is already with the DA. 2 officers step through the conference room door. Bryson looks at Talia. The calculation is gone from his face. The performance is gone. The boardroom composure and the Sunday morning grief face and the practiced tremble in his lip, all of it gone. What is underneath is small and cold and frightened. "You recorded this," he says. "You planned a murder," she says. Recording a conversation felt proportionate. She stands up. She picks up her water bottle. She walks out of the conference room without looking back, and in the hallway August is waiting, and he falls into step beside her without touching her, without speaking, and they walk out of that building into the gray afternoon light together. The worst chapter of her life is behind her. It is signed, dated, witnessed, and filed. The courtroom is standing room only. Talia takes the stand 38 days after the closet. She is 9 months pregnant. She is composed in the way that marble is composed, not cold exactly, but formed under pressure into something that will not yield. She sits straight. She places her hands in her lap. She looks at the jury when she speaks. Bryson's defense attorney is a man named Gerald Holt who has spent 30 years making women feel small on witness stands. He tries everything. He asks if she accessed the computer without permission. She says yes. He asks if she had a history of paranoid ideation during the pregnancy. She says no, and then she describes 3 instances of documented behavior by Bryson, recorded, witnessed, medical record supported, that Holt did not expect her to have memorized. He asks if she has any personal motivation to fabricate these claims. She looks at the jury. "My daughter deserves a mother who told the truth. That's my motivation. You're welcome to write it down." 2 jurors look away from Holt. The audio recording plays for 24 minutes. The courtroom does not move. Patricia Mercer sits 3 rows behind the defense table, and by minute 11 she is looking at the floor. By minute 18, she has stopped looking at Bryson entirely. Arthur Wexler testifies on day 4. He is 73 years old and he looks smaller than his photographs. He confirms 11 years of payments. He confirms the buried cases. He confirms Celeste Haddon. He confirms the ledger entry beside Talia's name. He reads it aloud in a voice that has lost whatever certainty it once carried. Policy active. Outcome expected Q1. Celeste Haddon testifies on day 6. She has not spoken publicly in 6 years. She stands at the microphone in a gray coat and she does not use notes. She describes 14 months of marriage and a staircase and a wrist that never healed correctly and a check for $200,000 that felt like being paid to disappear. She looks at Talia once from the stand. Talia nods. The verdict takes 6 hours. Guilty, attempted murder, 2 counts. Insurance fraud, perjury, conspiracy. 22 years. Parole eligible at year 16. Bryson's face when the verdict is read is a face Talia has never seen before on him, stripped of every layer, reduced to something bare and small and absolutely powerless. It lasts 3 seconds before his attorneys move in. 3 seconds is enough. Dana Pruitt accepts a plea deal the following week. 4 years, full cooperation. She testifies against 2 additional co-conspirators in the financial fraud case. The dominoes fall for months afterward, long and slow, the way dominoes do when the line is very long and someone finally tips the first one. Talia stands outside the courthouse in February and the cold air hits her face and she breathes it in and holds it and lets it out. August is beside her, not close, not touching. Celeste Haddon is across the parking lot, her gray coat bright against the steps. She nods once at Talia. Talia nods back. The work is not finished. The healing hasn't started. But the chapter that was meant to kill her is closed and locked and filed with the court. And for the first time in 7 months, the math is working in her favor. Elora Jane is born on a Tuesday. She arrives at 6:47 in the morning, screaming, and Talia takes that as the best possible sign. Dr. Ose places her on Talia's chest, and Talia holds her daughter and does not cry. She breathes. The baby breathes. The room is warm and full of machine sounds and ordinary morning light, and none of it is extraordinary, and all of it is everything. Elora is 7 pounds, 2 ounces. She has Talia's nose. She has a furious expression that suggests she has opinions and intends to share them. She is perfect. Diane Cho sends flowers, a large arrangement, professional, with a card that says she made it. So did you. Roy Sims sends a stuffed elephant the approximate size of a golden retriever. August sends nothing to the hospital. He waits 2 weeks. When he comes with groceries. He knocks. He waits for Talia to open the door. She lets him in. She makes coffee. They sit at the dining room table where the 46-page financial report once covered every surface, and now there are blankets folded at one end and a burp cloth on the chair, and a tiny striped sock on the floor that neither of them mentions. Celeste filed her own civil case, Talia says. Last Monday, her attorney is excellent. August wraps both hands around the coffee mug. Priya Anand filed in Dallas the same week. Talia nods. She reaches into the pocket of her cardigan and sets something on the table between them. It is small, silver, a button, not a cufflink, but from the same suit, the same set, the same night. It fell from Bryson's jacket into the closet floor when he slammed the door. She found it under the cedar smell in the dark, and she put it in her coat pocket without knowing why, and found it again at the hospital when they returned her things. August looks at it for a long time. He recognizes it. Of course he does. It is from the same suit Bryson wore to the office 7 years ago, the night August confronted him about Marcus, and Bryson smiled and told him to walk away while he still could. Neither of them speaks. The button sits on the table between them like punctuation, the end of one sentence, the beginning of another. From the bedroom, Elora makes a sound, not crying, just announcing herself the way she has already decided is her right. Talia stands. August stands with her reflex instinct, the habit of a man who has spent 2 months watching out for this family and has not yet learned to stop. "You can sit," Talia says, not unkindly. He sits. She goes to get her daughter. She comes back with Elora against her shoulder, and the baby looks at August with the frank, evaluating stare of a person who has just arrived in the world and is taking stock. August looks back. He does not perform anything. He is simply present. "She has your stubbornness," he says. "Good," Talia says. "She'll need it." Whatever is building between them will happen on Talia's terms and no one else's. August understands this. He has understood it since the conference room hallway, since the courthouse steps, since the moment he realized that this woman was never waiting to be rescued. She was waiting for the resources to rescue herself. He will wait. He is good at waiting. He waited 7 years for Bryson Mercer's downfall. He can wait for this. 3 years later, Talia stands in front of 400 women in a Chicago conference hall. And Elora is in the front row eating crackers with the focused intensity of someone who has inherited her mother's commitment to doing things completely. August is beside her. Elora calls him August, which she pronounces August with great confidence and zero accuracy, and he has stopped correcting her because it never works. The Mercer Advocacy Group has handled 34 cases in 2 years. Women who found policies, women who found folders, women who found nothing, only a feeling, only a pattern they couldn't name, only the knowledge that something in their house was not what it looked like. Talia's firm handles all of them. Diane Cho is her partner. Roy Sims heads security. Gordon Price manages a financial forensics team of 4. Bryson Mercer is in year 3 of a 22-year sentence. He is eligible for parole at year 16, which means he will be 61 years old when he first sees a parole board. His mother visits twice a year. His name appears in court records and public databases, and nowhere that matters. The business he planned to fund with $4.8 million exists as a dissolved LLC in a state filing system that no one ever searches. Arthur Wexler received 3 years and was released at 74 into a world that had quietly decided he was no longer relevant. His ledger was entered into evidence in 4 separate cases. The women on those pages received settlements, apologies, and the particular satisfaction of watching their names removed from the silence that was never theirs to carry. Dana Prout served 2 years of her 4-year sentence and was released. She has not contacted Talia. Talia does not think about her. The silver button from the closet floor sits on Talia's desk in the Chicago office, in a small glass dish, next to a photograph of Elora at 6 months old making the same furious evaluating face she made at August in the guest house. Talia sees it every morning. It has transformed. It is no longer a night she survived. It is the night she decided. In the conference hall, she reaches the end of her speech. The room is very quiet. She finds the woman in the 4th row who has not clapped once, who is sitting very still with something shifting behind her eyes that Talia recognizes the way you recognize a language you used to speak. She speaks to that woman directly, only to her. "He locked me in a closet," Talia says. "He looked at everything I was and decided I was worth more gone than present. He built a plan. He was methodical and he was patient and he was certain he had already won." She pauses. "What he never accounted for was that the worst night of my life was also the night I found out exactly what I was made of." She looks down at Alora, who has finished the crackers and is now looking at her mother with the absolute unguarded trust of a 3-year-old who has never known anything but safety. He tried to erase me, Talia says. Instead, he built the woman who made sure it would never happen to anyone else again. The room breaks open. The woman in the 4th row is crying. August is looking at Talia the way he has looked at her for 3 years now, with the patience of someone who knows that what is between them is real and permanent and entirely on her schedule. Elora raises both arms. Talia picks her up. That is the whole story. The woman who was locked in a closet in the dark, counting her daughter's kicks, deciding not to disappear, and the life, wide and bright and entirely her own, that she built from the ruins of the night someone tried to take everything. Talia's story proves that the plan built to silence you can become the foundation you build everything on. If this moved you, share it with a woman in your life who is stronger than anyone around her knows. She needs to hear this today. And if you want more stories like this, subscribe, because every week we bring you the people ordinary life tried to erase and failed. Tell me in the comments, what was the exact moment you knew Bryson had already lost? I want to know which detail got you first.